Is that bam? We're live. Is your AC on, Brian?
Yeah, I can turn it off if you want me to.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it anyway. Let me go turn it off.
Okay. Sousa, what's up? Good morning.
Good morning, man. How
You called the audible this morning.
I saw that.
It's not. The thing is it's kind of like my least favorite subject.
I was looking forward to some good rants this morning, but in due time.
I know. I have my notes are so awesome.
I was kind of peeking at them earlier when you had sent them over.
I'm tripping on the I'm tripping on how much the right is being manipulated to attack Joe Biden. It's funny. Now all of a sudden he's a bad guy. But Brian, this is my least favorite topic.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi. You know why this is my least? You know, I was thinking yesterday. Do you know why all the steroid shows are so popular? Like, do you know why Hiller had 600 people on live? Like when I go live, I get 30 people on. You know why he had 600? I can't acknowledge that he's better than me or harder working or cuter or smarter.
Never.
I don't know why he had 600. Because those are all the people who want to do steroids. I came up with this theory yesterday. Everybody wants to do performance enhancing drugs. There's levels to your commitment, but everybody wants to do them. My mom wants to do them. Your mom wants to do them. Everyone wants to do them. The people who hate them, the people who talk shit about them, everyone wants to get juiced up and feels like what it is to be Superman or Superwoman. There's just these crazy levels of ability to acknowledge it, to be attracted to it. And those shows are so popular because everyone wants to get on it. Yeah, here it is. We all want to be jacked. Yeah, we all want to be jacked. It's the ultimate, as I get more and more into learning about testosterone replacement therapy with our work with California Hormones, it sounds like it's the ultimate antidepressant with no side effects.
No side effects?
Maybe the people who are getting super juiced, but just to elevate your testosterone levels a little bit. I mean, no negatives. I haven't heard any negative side effects from getting on a little bit of the juicy.
I was surprised how many people I know that were actually taking it.
Unless,
they started talking about it. They're like, "Oh yeah, I've been on that for a little bit. I feel great."
Yeah.
Like, what?
Have you ever taken testosterone, Brian?
Susan, how many of those small little cups do you have lined up there?
Oh, dude, I bought a pack of 300 off Amazon for like $4.
No, I've not taken any testosterone, Sevan.
But do you see what I'm saying about how everyone wants to be like? That's why those shows are so popular. It's under the guise of maybe half the people are there to damn, Phil Toon, to judge him, but the other half are just like, I want to learn a little bit and get juiced up.
Yeah, everybody has gone and looked at purchasing it before.
Why wouldn't you want to be a better version of yourself? Yeah.
And if you're saying you haven't gone on there and checked them out and at least scoped the interwebs to see what's available, you are lying.
I feel so naive. Is everyone on them, Brian? I feel so naive too. I feel like
this guy tells me I can throw discs farther if I start using PEDs. Now I'm interested.
Yeah. Hey, the only negative thing I've heard is that you can't have kids. Which would suck.
Yeah, some people would say no. Some people might disagree. Maybe
even my mom's in denial. Look at Sevan's mom does not want it. Yes, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. I don't believe you. I don't believe anyone anymore. Everyone wants to get juiced up. Why not? Why not? What are you scared? Why not? Why haven't you done it, Brian? Why haven't you done it?
I don't know. I haven't. I guess I just haven't been pursuing that degree of athletic career.
Yeah, but it's not because it's not because you think you're going to go to hell if you do it.
Oh no, I'm sure I've crossed that line a couple times.
How my notes are worthless today because I have my live call-in notes. I'll write on the back. I saw the morning chalk up. You went on yesterday with the Khaleesi, Lauren Khalil, and you went on with Justin LaFranco. And I think the title of the piece was 13 athletes. Can we pull up Brian's Instagram? Do you care if we look at your story for a second, Brian?
No, it probably very relevant.
Okay. Can we go through every single person today? Just even give like a note. Do we have the list of the names of all the people who popped?
Yeah.
Do you feel bad for them? I know this is a factual show. Who gives a fuck about feelings? But do you feel bad for them?
I
feel horrible. Really. No.
you feel bad for the people who have failed their drug tests?
Yeah, I feel horrible
Why is that?
because I know that they probably have like a huge pit in their stomach. They're all tore up. I know people don't like that. They're like, I know I had Hunter on and my DMs filled up with Hunter schooled your shit. That like Hunter's perspective is they're fucking cheaters. I get it. I mean, I don't think
Hunter,
he
you're
schooled
talking
me.
about Hunter McIntyre?
Yeah, I don't
Not-
think he
not
schooled me. I
Hunter
agree. I
Williams?
agree. They're fucking cheaters too. But still, it doesn't mean I don't feel bad. Say that again, Brian.
Well, Hunter Williams is one of the athletes who's failed the drug test this year,
Oh,
so I was
of
just
course.
clarifying.
Let me just throw another name. Let's play a game. I'm gonna throw a name out there, and you tell me if someone pops. Pedro. Do we have a Pedro in the house? Do we have a Pedro popped?
Hey, we should just bring up that list, and when you were having everybody say, "Hey, are they going to be lower or higher on the leaderboard?" Now we change it. Have they popped or have they
Yes.
not?
Yes.
Still in the contention or no?
Brian. This is the fucked up question. I'm sorry.
Hey, I know what I'm doing coming on here.
Okay. How many have taken performance enhancing? How many have taken supplements that are not legal according to the rules of the CrossFit Games that haven't been caught?
Impossible to know because they only test a certain percentage of the athletes. Even within the team division, in most cases, they only test 2 of the 4 athletes. And everyone who's done any amount of research knows that there are ways to take those supplements and then take masking agents that'll prevent you from popping on a test anyway. So that will always be a mystery.
The California Hormone Games are getting stacked, Sevan. Have you sent invitations out yet? No, we're still I know it's getting interesting, right?
Are the California Hormones Games the same as the major competition in Brazil that's going on in a couple of weeks in which there's no drug testing?
Oh, is there? What's that one called?
I'm not exactly sure what it's called, but I've heard people refer to it as the equivalent of Wadapalooza for South America.
So does Wadapalooza doesn't do any testing, but I guess the games will send their testers there to nab you.
There is testing that happens at Wadapalooza. I'm not sure if it's random by CrossFit or if it's affiliated with, but it's not thorough, or there's not a guarantee if you finish within these placements. Actually, that might not be true. They may test the podium. I'm not 100% sure about who all gets tested at Wadapalooza, but there is some level of drug testing that happens there. Maybe there's someone who listening who knows more than me about that. But Phil Toon competed at Wadapalooza. He took 6th place there, and I don't think he was drug tested there.
Carlos Romero is bold as to call it Juicapalooza. Hey, maybe that should be the name of the California Games, Hormone Games, Juicapalooza. It's nuts. It is. I'm just struggling with my own naiveness. Are you naive to it? You think, Brian?
Yeah, I kind of intentionally am.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is too. And why? Because we don't want the guys we like to be cheaters, or.
That's good. No, just the same thing that you said, at the start of the show is I don't like doing these shows. I don't want this to be the focus of the thing that we're talking about. But when you're approaching, I think now there's up to 9 or 10 in the last 48 hours that I've become aware of. That's a pretty staggering number, and it's hard to ignore.
On one hand, you have to really compliment CrossFit. You have to be like, holy shit, they're really doing their jobs. They're weeding these guys out. And all we've asked for is fair competition, honest and open competition. And this appears to be fucking doing it, right? It's like a comb that you put through your hair when you have lice. And it's like those really tight bristles, and it pulls the lice out. That's what they're doing right now, right? They're pulling the lice out. On the other hand,
even a better analogy, because you always miss some in the first pass through.
Right.
Takes a couple of times.
I thought you were going to make fun of me. Sorry, Sevan. I've never had lice. But on the other hand, so many of us are disappointed we're not going to get to see Phil Toon go. Couldn't they just have a bunch of lanes? Couldn't they just have a bunch of they make them all wear special shirts? I'm a cheater, but we still get to see them go out on the floor and compete. They have their own 5 lanes off to the left, the cheaters lanes. I mean, we want to see Phil compete, right? Don't we want to see him go? I mean, he's like the remote control car in we want to see him go.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely there's a group of athletes. I mean, look, like I said, there's been maybe 10 in the last 48 hours alone. And Phil Toon's the one that stands out, right? Because most people of that group of 10 athletes, they were most excited to see him. He was the most recognizable, or he had done the best in other competitions, namely in Wodapalooza. And we've been kind of looking at him since last year. We had him on, maybe 12 to 14 months ago. He was, and seems to be a very likable guy, hardworking guy. He was in with a good coach and camp down there in Naples. So everything was trending in the right direction for him. He did very well at semifinals, going toe to toe with perennial podium contender in Fikowski. So yeah, his stock was really high and people were excited to see him. Whereas most of the others who have failed are either team athletes or just, more out of nowhere games qualifiers that don't have maybe the track record that he did in the last 12 months.
John, that'll be 20 burpees for you. How dare you? Please refrain. Okay. I want to start really big picture. Where are we at? Where we are in the season is in terms of the sport. Everyone's been told they can come, but the drug tests haven't come in, and athletes are coming out ahead of time before CrossFit makes announcements. Can you paint that picture, like where we're at in the season? What the fuck is going on right now? Yeah,
I mean, I think that this is one of the most probably frustrating parts of this process for everyone who's involved in it, from the athletes, their families, coaches, and obviously to even in CrossFit's perspective, and then of course for the fans, is just the delay between when competitions end and when we find out kind of meaningful results associated with them. So it started with the quarterfinals, which took 39 days to finalize rosters after the end of quarterfinals, which I think is excessive and unnecessary. And especially in the context of all those people I mentioned that are trying to make plans for the next stage of the season, which is semifinals, which most people have to make travel plans, hotels, planes, if their coaches are going to come, families are going to come, if they have to get time off of work if they have to get sitters for their kids or whatever it is. Like the less amount of time between the end of, or when you find out where you're going to be for semifinals and when you have to go there and compete, is more inconvenient for everyone involved. And now we're in a similar situation here with the time frame from semifinals to the games, where the first semifinal week ended on May 22nd and the last one ended on June 12th. But right now we're in July 12th. And we're just now finding out about Nasser, I believe is the guy from Asia that's failed his drug test, which we can get to later on.
Holy shit, he failed too?
Yeah. And
when did that come out? Sorry, when did that come out?
It has not come out that Nasser has failed his drug test yet. I just believe that that's the case. Arthur Semenov, who is third place in Asia, posted on his Instagram this morning that he did receive an invite to the CrossFit Games from CrossFit. So it's
shit. Why not Roman?
It's either Roman or Nasser, because of the people I've been in contact with. I have not heard from Nasser or any of his team directly, but I've heard from multiple people that have said that's likely the one it is. And I've heard from multiple people that said Roman has not received anything from CrossFit.
His beard looks like it's on.
And here's the thing that people should understand. When my understanding, when athlete passes a drug test, has a negative drug test, CrossFit doesn't notify them of that. When they get a positive, they do. And so we can reach out to Roman. He said, I haven't gotten anything from CrossFit yet, but that doesn't mean necessarily good or bad. However, if they've already extended an invite to Arthur, then we can assume that they've notified the person that's not being invited that they failed the drug test. I mean, that if they're not doing it in that order, then that I would say is, pretty poor order of operations on CrossFit's end. Anyway, the point being, that competition ended on June 5th, and we're a month and a week later than that now, and we're just now finding this information. So on the one hand, you have Nasser and his whole family who maybe have been planning to come to the United States, getting visas in line, organizing everything from their end. And
this is not CrossFit's fault, though.
Well, hold on.
This is Nasser's fault.
Well,
if it's true, right?
Well, of course, there's a blame on the athlete that's taking the PEDs. The question that I want to ask is, from a timeline perspective, has CrossFit set up the season to be successful in this regard? Because if Nasser's just now finding out that he's failed a drug test, that means that Arthur is now just finding out that he's eligible for the games. But Arthur has already done the last chance qualifier, and this is the case for other athletes as well. And he's in Russia. I don't know how easy it is to get from Russia to the United States for just anyone who wants to come here. I don't know what his financial situation is. I don't know what his training's necessarily been like, or if he has any other competitions he was planning for or anything like that. So it's a fairly tight timeline. He has a month now, I guess, to figure that out.
Ooh, look at that body. Brian, I hate the thought of suggesting though that this is in any way CrossFit's fault. Like, I don't think that they should make a timeline for the season to accommodate a backfill.
Well, then they should.
I agree with you when they should accommodate the athletes. I agree with you some of the stuff you've said about semifinals and smooshing it in, but the backfill and the cheater shit is like
no. But every year there's people who fail their drug tests,
right?
So we've talked before about potential different timelines for semifinals. So let's just say, for example,
okay, that
they were quicker on the turnaround from quarterfinals to semifinals. The semifinals weeks were the 2 middle weeks of May, and then they would tell athletes, hey, from let's just say there were only 2 semifinals, and week 1 was going to be, 3 weeks later from now, you'll get an email either confirming that you've passed your drug test or not. And then after that 3 weeks, everyone knows, yes, all the athletes from week 1 are in, except for this person, and this team, or, whatever. And it's done. And then 1 week later, we'll get the results for week 2. And then we can move forward. And because right now it's so, it's getting so close to the games, we still don't know what's going on in many of these cases that we're going to get to later. And so for, people that are trying to, even people that work for CrossFit that are trying to prepare relevant stats, data packages, information, headshots of teams and athletes that are competing there. Like, we're doing all this work, and then we have to go and redo the work and reorganize it. I've done this work with 6 experts in the space to do a composite power rankings of all the male and female athletes in the field. And now we have to go back and rework that article. And it's like, so all of these things are, they're kind of fallouts of that. And so it's just begging the question, is there potentially a way to set ourselves up better, knowing that this is going to happen?
Well, not if there's people like me and you who are naive about the people popping. Hunter McIntyre just commented in the comments, this sounds like a conspiracy theory podcast. Yesterday, I received, Hunter's been telling me about the juicy, the juicy that goes on in CrossFit for a while. And yesterday he sent me a tub of Vaseline to get me ready for our next show. I didn't appreciate some rubber gloves. I didn't appreciate that. Yeah. Did the last chance qualifier people, were they tested, Brian?
So in theory, all of the last chance qualifiers would have been tested at their semifinal. The semifinals that I went to, the athletes were briefed at the opening briefing by the competition director that for example, in North America and Europe, where they have 5 qualifiers, that they test down to the 8 spot, and for teams that they would test down to the 7 spot. So they were, projecting this forward. However, in some of the continents that are not the United States and Europe, I'm not sure if they tested all of the last chance qualifier spots or not. I've heard conflicting information that has not happened in South America and Africa, at least.
Is this a lot of people who've tested positive this year? Is this more than normal?
It seems like a lot, and especially yesterday when so many were coming in all at once. But I did find out that in 2018 there were 17 either team athletes or individual athletes from regionals who failed the drug test, and so basically we're approaching that number. So no, it's not necessarily that out of the ordinary.
Okay,
but
yeah. Is the media covering it more? Is it better media now? Is that what's going on?
It's either, you could say, better or just a different style of media. Like there's a higher
let's go with better. Let's go with better.
There's definitely seems to be a higher level of scrutiny from the media about everything, and therefore things like this become more obvious or well known.
It's more under the microscope. I got a question, Brian. Who do you think if they're intentionally not testing anybody?
Like, if we were to this fucking question,
if we were to see the like a behemoth fall or something like that, like what if one of the bigger named athletes?
He's saying, are they protecting anyone? Are they protecting Fikowski?
I have no idea.
Here's the thing. I was so close to the games, and I would fucking bet. I'd bet fucking everything I own that Adrian and Curtis Bowler would never, ever in a million years fucking do that. And that it's actually quite the opposite. That the mood there when Dave was there was to catch people. That being said, I'm hearing some crazy shit about some shit that's happened in the United States this year with some of the teams. And unfortunately, it does sound like that there's some people not on the games team, but some people at HQ that may have been involved in some of the shenanigans. but they're not on the games team. It is not people on the games team. I want to be super clear about that. And we are trying to get to the bottom of that.
Yeah, and you're also referring to a time when there was accountability when Dave was at the helm of it. Like we've seen this crumble since he's left. So, has that changed anything internally there with the interaction between CrossFit Games and the athletes? Speculation.
Maybe, but those guys, Curtis Bowler and Adrian Bosman, are not nice people. They are thorough people. Like those are thorough. Those aren't like, those are just thorough motherfuckers. Like sticklers. Like Curtis Bowler is not a, you know what I mean? Like you don't graduate to overhead squats in his gym until you master the PVC. Same with Adrian. Like these guys, these are fucking, I mean.
Who smiles more, Curtis or J.R. Hall?
Whoo, good question. Curtis doesn't even own a smile. He has to check it out from the library. Yeah. I mean, these are, I just, I hate to speculate on that. Kenya says JR. Yeah, Curtis. Have you guys heard anything? We received the reason why, and I'll tell you what we received because I hate to be ambiguous. We received an email from someone who painted out a whole cover up to us that's going on for a particular games athlete, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of it before it's a team athlete. Sorry, a team athlete.
Yeah, I don't know much about that.
Okay. Anyone else before we start? I want to start going down the list. There's some things that are really weird. The South Africa thing really just boggles my mind. That what's going on over there with that girl. But is there anyone else besides Arthur that's breaking, or that have any other invites been put out that we know about where we don't know whether who's been accused or who's getting pulled out, but we know there's been a backfill?
No. So in terms of the individuals, Austin Spencer did receive his invite from CrossFit this week. So he's in place of Joyelle. As far as I know, Nick Matthew has not been contacted yet, who would be in line for the backfill from Phil Toon. As far as I know, Augustine Riquelme has not been contacted yet. He would be in line for the backfill for Pedro Martins. But those things are kind of weird in the context of we know who's failed the drug test and the next in lines have not received invites. But in Asia, we know the next in line has received invites, but we haven't seen anything confirming the person who's failed. The reason that is because CrossFit hasn't announced any of these. It's just the athletes have chosen to announce them. So Pedro Martins addressed it, Phil Toon addressed it, and then Arthur addressed it. But
Joyelle
addressed it.
Anyone else?
That's a good question from Wes Colbert, and I'm hoping to find that out. I have a thought about that, but I'm not 100% sure that they may have been doing blood testing this year at semifinals. I just don't know if they've done that in the past or not. So I'm hoping that CrossFit will have an opportunity to answer that at some point.
Sorry. What are the implications of what Ethan's saying here? I saw Proven posted Nick Matthews is going.
Nick Matthew has said that if he gets his backfill, he will go. I just don't know for sure that he's received the backfill invite yet.
Let's say he has. I saw Proven posted Nick Matthews is going. Can you go to Proven, Souza, and see? Let's say he is. What would then that allow us to speculate? That what
no,
region is he from?
Phil Toon. He would be replacing Phil Toon.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is like once again resurfacing another bad issue though. Nick Matthew he's kind of like Austin Spencer in this regard. Like he's been fighting for this game spot for a long time. He's been close multiple times. Last year he missed by a couple points to Mertens. This year he missed by a couple points as well. He was fourth place in the last chance qualifier, which is obviously very good. But lurking a few points behind him on that leaderboard is Matt DeLugos, and everyone already knows about the grievance that DeLugos and his team has with the pull-up bar height, and just now he's only 4 points away from Matthew, and it's even looking more like, oh man, if that pull-up bar was just a little bit higher, would Matt be getting this backfill?
Wow.
When we look at Nick Matthews here and we see a congratulations, does that mean that Phil Toon has passed on having his B sample tested?
So my understanding here, and again, I wish we had something from CrossFit to confirm this stuff, but my understanding is that even if the B sample is being tested, he won't be eligible to compete at the games too.
And we don't really, Is there anything that we're upset at CrossFit about for not being transparent with us? What if their reasoning is like, hey, what they're doing is they're being transparent with who needs to be transparent with, meaning the people who popped and the people who are going to be backfilling, and they do this in the fastest way possible, and they let them leak it at their own pace. I mean, is there any?
Yeah, I mean, it's
is that bad for us, or are we just crybabies because we're the last to kiss the girl? We're the last to know.
No, I mean that's kind of the MO, right? We've talked about it before with masters workouts, where someone asked CrossFit privately, "Hey, it says I may do this exercise. Does that mean I have to do this exercise?" And CrossFit chose to respond to them privately instead of addressing the matter on a large scale. And so again, here, while they're communicating these things individually, that's not inappropriate. But when it's now, what I'm just seeing is there's so many so fast coming out that people are getting angry, they're getting frustrated. So I just think that at the very least, CrossFit might want to say like, hey, we understand that there's a lot of these that are coming out right now. This is our process, and we will communicate to you the final list when, so that so we're not just in the dark. Like right now, there's just like speculation and curiosity. And there's a lot of people that just aren't as aware as you and I are about what's going on and what the process is, that are probably unjustifiably so getting angry or frustrated or accusatory. But if CrossFit just came out and said something to that effect of, we're on top of it, we will release a list with all of this stuff when it's finalized.
Oh, okay. They don't have to tell us anything, but it'd be cool if we could get a date for when. Yeah. Okay.
Just to check in and say, hey, we will put something out. We have to wait for the appeals process to finalize, and we want to publish all of these at once. Just check in with the community, say that, and put the minds at ease.
What if they made a post on the game's Instagram and says, "Don't worry, your favorite athlete might still be going to the game"?
Well, it's super weird. I mean, it's super weird what's going on their Instagram. They had that like a very focused thing on Nasser on there, and that's been removed.
Oh, that's not cool.
And they also had a thing that was celebrating all the Brazilians that are going, that was posted a couple of days ago, half of which now are not, and that's still up there.
I liked your post on that, Brian.
It's just, yeah.
They should leave that stuff up. But I want to say something a little off subject here, but I promise I'll tie it in. Those of you who interchange the word sex and gender, it's like interchanging the word boogeyman and God. It's two totally different things. And those of you who are interchanging it are just part of the problem. And I mean this in all sincerity and kindness. You're fucking.
What does this have to do with anything?
I'm gonna tie it in. You're fucking morons. Yesterday, my kids were watching a show on lizards. And the guy, like David Attenborough, he's never like, the gender of this lizard is. No, he's like, this lizard's sex is a male, and that's why he has that plume hanging from his throat. The sex of this lizard is a female. You never hear anyone in biology or talking about the animal kingdom using gender. Never, ever, ever. That being said, I want to be very clear when I ask this question. Why is it that the sex of most of these people popping are males?
Well, that's not necessarily true.
Okay, great. Even better. That's even a better answer.
I mean, on the female side of things, we've had, I think, 3 confirmed team athletes. So it is still more men than women. But, that if there are more men than women, it probably just speaks to the thing that I've always said about men and women, is just there's more competition, and the depth of the field on the men's side is more difficult. And therefore, the margins are smaller, and it's more tempting to maybe do it.
Fair. I like that analysis. And in this country, I don't know if it is in other countries, men's car insurance between the age of 16 and I think 25 is higher than women's.
Yep. Statistically, they crash more, do dumb shit.
Isn't that weird that you can be openly sexist like that? I approve of that too, by the way. I totally approve of that. And so there might also be that too, the psychological component that men are willing to take more risks. With that. And then I wonder if it's more obvious when women take performance enhancing drugs than it is with men. Like women start to grow a mustache or something.
Competing with the beard this year.
Brian, is Phil Toon the biggest star in the history of CrossFit who's ever popped? Is there anyone? No,
I mean, of course it's still Ricky because of what.
Right. Okay.
Third place too. Yeah.
And then, there are some others like Sean Ramirez, who is, 3-time games champion in the Masters division before he failed the drug test. That I would say is probably unfair to say that Phil Toon is a smaller star than him. It's just that there's more spotlight on the individuals, and especially this year. It's been, really popular sport, I think, coming out of a couple of years where we didn't get to see a lot of athletes.
And who's the biggest woman to ever pop? I can't think of any big names.
I mean, I don't know. I think
Ellie from Mayhem.
Yeah,
whatever.
Maybe that. Laurie Kuhn highlight last year, depending on what part of the world you're from, was a pretty big letdown, I would say. Obviously, she proved this contaminated supplement, but
has anyone gotten off? Has anyone ever said, it wasn't me? And CrossFit's like, yeah, you're right, it wasn't you.
Contaminated supplement has been proved, but you still get a 2-year ban for that.
Okay, so if you every single person who's gotten that email from CrossFit, oh yes, thank you, Emily Abbott's probably she might be the biggest name. Period.
Like I said, depends where you're from.
I definitely liked her excuse the most. What? Where was I going with this? So if you get the email, you're toast. The CrossFit's batting and whoever they use for the drug testing is batting 100. No one's ever been like, oh, wait a minute. And the reason why I bring this up is I want to go straight into Africa because that's the most interesting one for me. Here we go.
It's probably because you just don't know enough about South America yet.
Oh, okay. Austin.
Hey.
What's up, brother?
Not much. How's it going?
Good. Congratulations. We wanted to bring you on the show this morning just to see how real this story is, because as we report on it, it's always just feels like it's so ambiguous and surreal. So you're going to the CrossFit Games.
I am. Yeah, I got my email yesterday.
And how do you know that? You got the email, you're sure it's not like some sort of scam trying to fish for your credit card number or something?
Well, either way, I paid them, so somebody got money.
Do you have to pay something to go to the CrossFit Games? Is there a registration fee?
Yeah, there's a registration fee.
How much is that?
Like $300.
No shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not free swag. When they say you get free swag, that's shit you paid for. That's
you pay for pretty much all of it.
You pay for that, Noble.
Can you tell us what the letter is? Does it mention why you went, or does it say use the word backfill, or do they throw some Joyal under the bus, or like what happens?
No, it was very straightforward. Like all it said was congrats on your performance at Atlas Games. You've earned a spot to the CrossFit Games. Blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So there wasn't any like extra information or reasons or anything like that.
And before you get that, do you know that you're going to be contacted? Like, does someone call you and be like, hey, check your inbox, or it's there?
I got a text like after like all that information was kind of out on social media. I got a text from a guy from CrossFit Games staff. And then he ended up, like, I texted him back and he called me that night and basically told me without telling me that I should be going. Like, he's like, book your travel, maybe keep training, stuff like that. I can't say anything official, but just be ready. I was like, okay, that's all I needed to hear.
Yeah, Brian, I like this.
Yeah. Well, that's what you were talking about earlier is that they inform those that need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then do they also tell you, hey, let's not talk about it publicly yet? Can you please not talk about it publicly?
Yeah, he basically just said like, don't make any like big posts or anything about that until you get the official invite, just in case something goes wrong. So then of course, like the next couple of days, I was like having dreams that I wasn't going to get to go and just random stuff that might change. So I definitely still needed that email just to like ease my own nerves, but it was enough to like get things booked and squared away and have my coaches help me with my programming and training again. So
you did the last chance qualifier.
Yeah.
Is any part of you bitter, or are you like, no, shut up, Sevan, who cares, I'm going? Or is any part of you like, no, that sucked that I had to do that?
I'm not bitter at all. Honestly,
okay.
Like in a way, the last chance qualifier was a blessing because I kept training after Atlas Games. So if I hadn't done that and then I was invited, like I would have been in a deep hole trying to get back into some volume. So it was definitely kind of helpful in that sense. So I'd really only had like, since the last chance qualifier ended, I had probably 4 days before I found out that I was going, something like that. So a nice 3 or 4 day off season for me and then back to it.
Can you tell me where you were when you heard the news about Nicholas Joyal, and when you heard it, did you right away put the pieces together? Were you like,
No,
oh
I
shit?
was like, I didn't understand what was happening. I was at home, and I was by myself at home. My wife was at the gym training, and she texted me, or no, she called me and said, put your phone on speakerphone and go to Instagram. And I was like, all right, whatever. So I went to Instagram.
Bossy,
She's like, all right, go to the search bar.
She's bossy. She's bossy.
In a good way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's like, go to the search bar, type in like NYCK, and like Nick's account shows up. And I was like, okay. And she's like, click on Joyal's account. I was like, all right. And then I saw it, and the post was kind of weird because it said like there was an English version and a French version. And I had actually seen those posts before she called me, but didn't look into it. I was just
right.
It was just
They look
another
boring.
post.
You're like, I don't read. Fuck
Yeah,
it. That's how I feel about it too.
Long
I'm
caption.
not gonna read the
Me no
captions
read.
or anything. So yeah, she told me to read that, and it even reading it, I was like, I don't understand. Like, is this what does this mean? Like, is this real? And so all my coaches and like some of my friends are like on the other line, and everyone's just freaking out. And I figured it out finally, and I don't know. Still didn't believe it. It still feels kind of surreal at this point, but it's happening. So.
Did you speak with Joyal at the event?
No, not really.
No. Okay.
How
many points behind were you at the event?
At the end, I think it was like 10 or 15 or something like that.
So it was close. When they made the announcement, you thought that there might still be a chance. It was 10.
No.
It was no.
I knew he had because he beat me in the last workout.
It was 20. It ended up being 25 points, and half of those points he gained on him in the last workout.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because the fifth workout on Sunday, or like the first workout of Sunday, he beat me in that one, and he took his lead over again. So I basically would have had to beat him and then get some help, and he crossed the finish line like a couple seconds before me. So I knew that was
3 seconds and 3 places.
Yeah, freaking wild. That workout was crazy.
How many years have you been trying to go to the CrossFit Games?
I mean, when I started CrossFit at the end of 2012, I started because I wanted to go to the CrossFit Games. Like, that's why I started doing CrossFit in the first place.
10 years.
So, yeah. So essentially 10 years I had this goal.
Wow, you must be tickled. And is your wife going?
Yep. Yeah, this is her second year qualifying.
Second in a row.
Crazy. And what's her name, Austin?
Caroline Spencer now. She was Caroline Connors.
I
So
wonder
we
if
got
they'll
married in
update
May.
that.
I think they are updating it because they sent her an email about changing it, and then there was some like things that they weren't going to change it because of her license and different things. Her name hasn't changed yet, but then they said that they would. So I think they are.
You guys would like it to be changed, though, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to change it in everything I publish from now on.
Austin,
it's
this could
Instagram
be
official,
be a good. Are you doing? Were you when I met you? You were with Misfits. Are you still with them?
Yep. I've always been with them.
Maybe it's time to break away and start your own programming. And John Sheets has a name for you: NWPO. Natty Work Pays Off.
It does eventually, I guess.
My last question for you is this: does any part of you wish that you would have taken that route? Like during these 10 years, were you ever? How many times were you tempted to be like, okay, I'm just going to do this in the off season. I'm just going to. Everyone else is doing it. This is the way to do it. How many times were you tempted?
0, literally 0. It's never once crossed my mind to try anything like that. I can't.
You're fucking up the beginning of the show. I said everyone wants to do it, even my mom. What are you screwing everything up?
I honestly,
Let me guess, you're a Christian. Let me guess, you're a Christian, huh?
No, I'm not. I'm not religious.
You have some moral code, but go on. You have something.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
One I got. Good mom and dad.
Yeah, that's what it was. My parents are amazing. But no, I don't know. I've never understood people that can like rationalize that. Like, I don't know, you're cheating, even if you do, get by the system, that it's still going to be in the back of your head and it's got to affect you in some way. But I don't know. that's a tough subject. Like for me, it never crossed my mind, but I did listen to like your podcast with Joyal, and like just listening to his mindset behind it. I don't know. It seems like he's just lacking confidence in himself and got desperate. And for me, like I enjoyed the process so much that whether I was ever going to qualify for the games or not, I was going to keep trying until I started to see the decline away from the top. So it just never crossed my mind. Like I just wanted to keep doing it no matter what.
I could be wrong, but I remember at the regionals in Albany, you were very emotional when you didn't make it.
Yeah.
Did you ever cry when you didn't make it? Like go home and cry, or in the car ride home?
No, I don't think I cried, but it was definitely emotional because it was like my friend Cody had made it.
Yeah.
And it was just like a weird year because I wasn't necessarily expecting to be that high up on the leaderboard. It was only my second year at regionals. But when it was all happening, it all happened so fast, and it got pretty emotional. But yeah.
Ed Al says, Barney, not many people like Sevan. You know what's fascinating about that, Barney, is all those people's moms love me, which is it's just weird.
Austin, was a small part of you.
It makes you know why they don't like me. You would hate it if your mom loved me too, if she was in my DMs. Okay, sorry, go ahead, Susan.
What was a small part of you a little bit bitter about the way that it played out? Because I mean, after 10 years and being so close to make it, did you feel like you were robbed a little bit of that experience on the competition floor rather than just getting an email, or does it not matter because you ultimately met the goal?
Ultimately, like I'm okay with it. Like if it had come out that he tested positive after the games, like what happened to Ricky or something, that would have been a whole different story. Mm-hmm. But since I get to go, like ultimately it's fine. Obviously it's a bummer that I didn't get to like be on the podium and like share that moment with Caroline and like my coaches and everything. Like she was crying like while it all kind of went down. And so I feel more bad for her than myself. But no, I mean, I can't help but be happy and grateful that it's all just like it's worked out and I finally done it. Yeah, my friend Gabe was like, "This is the most Austin way for you to qualify for the games." Like, of course, it happened this way
via email.
Yeah.
So do you have any questions for Mr. Austin Spencer, Brian?
I guess maybe like, considering just what you said is that you've put 10 years of work into this, and to see, and obviously not just the guy in front of you who's failed the drug test, but like, a dozen drug sanctions come down within a week or something like that. Is that discouraging at all? Do you have any, like, what's your perspective on that?
I don't know. It's crazy. Like seeing all these like different people pop. It's just I don't know. It's wild. Like it's just showing how like people just want it in this sport. It's just like every other sport. It's like people are going to keep trying to like blur the lines or, do whatever they can to get there. Without just putting in the work. So, I mean, obviously they still have to work hard, but like, I don't know. It's crazy to me. I really just don't understand it.
Man, you're a fucking good dude. Man, you're a good dude. You gonna have kids? Are you guys having kids?
Eventually, we plan to. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna be.
Yeah, a little bit more business to take care of in the competition first.
We got a couple years. We want to live a bit before that happens.
We'll let Wad Zombie get the last question here. Did you when you're competing against these guys, are you suspecting them, or no. Do you have to? No,
not at all.
That's just excuses pussies make, right?
It literally had never crossed my mind that like anyone in the top 5. Like I thought I was done. Like I was like, all right, they've qualified. Like on to next year. I was actually like, this was the best year I've ever had, regardless of qualifying for the games, and I was just excited to like get back to work and try it again for next year. So
awesome.
Austin, you were tested at semifinals?
Yeah.
And then just CrossFit doesn't notify you if you have a negative test, right?
No, I haven't heard anything back at all from them.
So like in your case, the communication that you've earned your spot is probably an affirmation that your test was negative. But I think for most of the athletes that like originally earned the qualifying spot, there's no communication. Yeah, just so you know, you passed your drug test. I think that.
Yeah, it must be weird. It's like a different order. Like you get invited and then you could potentially have that taken away. Where like I get invited because I was, I tested negative or whatever. But
Well, thank you for coming on. You're awesome. Matt will get with you very shortly the next couple of days, and we'll schedule you to hopefully to come on and get a whole hour and a half with you and pick that giant brain of yours.
Awesome. That'll be fun. I can't wait.
All right, dude. Thank you so much, Austin, for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Austin.
Thanks, man. See you guys.
Bye. Have a good workout.
That was
real.
nice.
So people's lives are being changed. Shit's being. I mean, it's interesting to see the balance of that, right? I mean, we see Joyal who's struggling with getting caught, and then we see on the other end, there's a scale to it, right?
I think it was you, Sevan, that said like a lot of the people that were getting upset and being like, hating on some of these people that are coming with failed drug tests. And it's like, hey, the people that actually got affected by it most were the ones on the competition floor, like Austin, that didn't get to have that experience with his wife, to be on the podium, to celebrate there with his coaches. I mean, ultimately, they were the ones harmed the most, right? And like most affected by it. So I just thought that I was curious about that question, because we've heard Pat Vellner talk about it when he received his third place for the games via email too. It's kind of like you're just alone in your room and you're like, oh, cool, as opposed to they work so hard for that brief moment on the floor,
right?
That it sucks.
10 years. That guy's been trying to go to the CrossFit Games 10 years.
Yeah.
We're when we started the show, we were at 13 athletes. Now we're at 14, right? Including Arthur, if we throw Arthur on the list.
Well, Arthur did not fail.
Sorry.
Nasser is what we think.
Nasser. And why do we think Nasser instead of Krennikov?
Well, I already answered that. It's because everyone I've talked to has said that Romans received nothing, and that the other people I've talked to have said that it's Nasser.
Okay.
This is why we're speculating. No, I'm just kidding.
I may have to ask you 5 more times. Sorry, Brian. You're dealing with an old man on this end. Okay. Let's go to South America first. What has happened in South America? Is Guy still going to the CrossFit Games?
Now that is the question everyone wants to know. So what I know so far, Guy has not received anything from CrossFit, so he's still good to go. The guy who placed second there, Pedro Martins.
And it's not because we suspect Guy, it's because there's so much fucking noise in South America. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, so Pedro Martins did receive an email from CrossFit that he had failed the drug test. He went live on his Instagram last night and addressed that. It was in Portuguese, I believe, but there's a brief write-up on Morning Chalk Up about it. And then Agustin Raquelme, who is in line to receive the backfill, as I said earlier, as far as I know, has not received any communication from CrossFit about anything yet. So, if I was in his camp, I would be preparing as if I was going to get a backfill.
Unless he popped too.
He hasn't. So he's either going to receive an email that says you failed the drug test, or he's going to receive an email that says you're invited to the CrossFit Games.
Right.
But he hasn't, as far as I know, he hasn't received either of those yet.
Which would be out of. But we don't know that. So, but since did that semifinal happen after the semifinal that Austin Spencer was in?
No, same week, but it happened a week after the one that Nasser and Arthur were in. And
okay.
That's what people are always saying this thing. Oh, well, we're just now hearing about week 3. So that means maybe week 4. Well, actually, we've heard more about week 4 than we have week 3 so far.
Okay.
We may have Nasser's thing right now.
Okay.
1-2 minutes ago.
Okay, here we. Does he speak English? Okay, let's see.
صدقوني يعطيكم العافية. عندي خبر خايس وقبل ما ينتشر أنا حاب إن تسمعونه مني.
No.
وصلني إيميل من الكروسفيت إن تم إيقافي إيقاف مؤقت. سبب
Okay, pause.
أنا بالفحص الطبي وقت البطولة.
Just click this. Oh, okay, so we did hear him say email and CrossFit. We did hear that. Okay, go on.
He's still.
السلام عليكم أصدقاء صدقوني يعطيكم العافية. عندي خبر خايس وقبل ما ينتشر أنا حاب إن تسمعونه مني. وصلني إيميل من الكروسفيت إن تم إيقافي إيقاف مؤقت. سبب هذا الإيقاف أنا بالفحص الطبي وقت البطولة بين بجسمي في مادة غير مسموح استخدامها.
Okay, you can skip this. Let's skip to the next post. Yeah, one. Keep going.
على الموضوع وراح
Check his.
Okay, here we go. Unfortunately, I have some bad. This is from Nassar Al Ruwayes.
1 minute ago too.
So this is in real time. Now we're up to 13, 14. Now we're up to 15. And we're going to get to 16 before the show's over. Unfortunately, I have some bad news to share. I got an email from CrossFit saying I've tested positive for the substance GW1516, which I did not use. For my discussion with a specialized lab, they mentioned that this substance can be found in supplements and medicine and not declared on the label. We're working with a lab in the USA to identify the source so we can appeal this decision. For this reason, I will not be competing. Okay, so when he says appeal, it doesn't. Other people have been caught and they still got a 2-year suspension even after the appeal. So he's already stating that he's not going.
Which is what I was saying about Phil Toon earlier, is that you can appeal, you can have your B sample, but this is like Nasser, like Phil, will not be at the CrossFit Games this year.
I'm telling you, give them their own fucking lane. Give them a special shirt.
Well, I'm sure there are a lot of people that would enjoy watching both of those guys. Yes.
Okay. So let's go over to Roman's Instagram account. Let's just check over there real quick and see if anything weird is going on over there. Okay, so now we have. Okay, let's go back to South America.
My favorite post from Roman recently was, "I'm already here."
Let's check. Okay, looks good. Everything looks fine.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it doesn't look fine if you're another male competing in the field. The closer we get to the games, the more I'm excited to see this guy out there. I think he is in serious contention this year.
We shall see. We shall see. He doesn't have to go against Joyal or Nassar or Phil Toon, so that helps him. Was Phil Toon a top 10 guy, Brian?
Sneak preview of our composite rankings that are no longer valid. No, he was not a top 10 athlete.
Okay. CrossFit does not deserve you, Sevan. You shine a light and give a voice to all athletes. Real media only deals with athletes who bring them clicks and views. And Brian is lucky to know you. I fully thank you, Clyde.
Just to put it, things in perspective, as excited as we all were about Phil Toon, the highest any one of us ranked him against this men's field was 13th. The lowest was 25th, and his composite rank came to 18th. That's like, and I've been saying it, this men's field is so brutal. Even with these guys, new guys coming in and these other guys out, like it's going to be an absolute blast at the games on the men's side.
I think Justin Medeiros is natural.
Okay.
Me too.
Okay. Let's go back over to the South America semifinals list. Man, this show's fucking dragging along. My goodness. I guarantee
if
you,
you're not having fun, we can stop.
I'm totally having fun. Someone else is going to pop here in just a minute. Just hang tight, people. We have 8 minutes till we get to the top of the hour, and someone else is going to pop. Okay, so Pedro popped, and we suspect August. So what would be normal here, what Brian was reporting, is Augustine Riquelme, which some people have said to me in my DMs, this guy looks like the Brian of South America. Have you heard that, Brian?
No, I have not heard that. But
you'll take it.
Augustine was at the games last year. So, you have to, he's passed a drug test in the past. So that would be a positive sign. And South America needs something positive right now, because when we get to the team side of things, we're going to see just how crazy this situation is becoming.
Okay. Let's look at the women, Brian or Souza. And I want to ask Brian to see how the women are doing on the leaderboard here. Yeah. We'll get back to Augustine.
It does look like.
This is the Sevan PED special. I know it sucks. I hate a PED special. Okay. How is Victoria Campos doing? Is she going to the games?
So far, same as Guy. She's heard nothing from CrossFit, which is a good sign.
Okay. And Julia Cato?
Julia, come on.
What? I said Julia.
Okay. I am concerned for Julia Cato, but there's been nothing yet.
And why are you concerned? Does she have a vein that runs from her toe up to the top of her forehead, or what? I know it's devolved into nastiness. I'm sorry. I'll clean it up.
We'll see. But so far, I've not gotten a confirmation one way or another on her.
But you've heard something that you're not willing to tell us at this point.
Yes.
And have you talked to Claudia Espinoza?
No.
Do you have any insight into whether anything to say about Claudia?
No.
Other than she has nice legs. Okay. Okay, let's go over to the teams. We have some concerns about Julia. The teams at Copa Sur, which is everything south. It's basically everything south of
Mexico,
right? It includes all of Central America and South America.
Yeah, I think so.
We have CrossFit K21.
That's a Q.
Sorry, Q21. Are they going to the CrossFit Games?
No.
Shit.
They posted that Sabrina Del Agustina failed her drug test, and they kicked her out of their team training environment.
Too little, too late. Okay, so they're not going. How about CrossFit Ribeirão Preto?
They posted on their team Instagram that someone on their team failed a drug test. They are not going.
Okay, so what I'm told about these drug tests is that there's 4 people on the team and only 2 are tested, and it's random. Can you confirm that?
In most cases, yes. In Africa, that was not the case. But we're not in Africa.
Okay, we'll get over there. Okay, so does that mean that CrossFit Barini, Team Treta, and King Bull CrossFit Paraguay, I love that name, King Bull, are going?
No. Click on CrossFit Barini, Souza. There's a couple problems with CrossFit Barini. First of all, you see where it says departed there next to their name? That's not normal. That means that their affiliate's not in good standing. There was a post on a There was a post on a different Instagram account called CrossFit Black Sheep, which I'm also not sure is a legitimate affiliate, that said that this team will not be going to the CrossFit Games. They're denying their invite if they were to even receive one because they're not prepared. They don't have visas and whatever else. But the fact that it's that, have you ever seen that before? Departed?
No, that's awesome.
So there's several problems with this team, and I'm not sure if they would have passed their drug test or if they did or didn't, but they have said they are not going, so they're out.
Is this true right here? Let's take it. Walmart does sell GW501516.
What part of the country is this person from who's asking?
Fuck. Amazing. Okay. This is fascinating. Okay. CrossFit King Bull, please tell me they made it. That name is odd. Oh,
they have a woman on their team named Ines Alviso. She posted on her personal Instagram that she failed her drug test. She's not going.
Shit.
They're not going.
Hey, so Brian, all these people are getting 4-year bans, basically?
Well, definitely the girl from Q21. I mean, unless they appeal and prove contaminated supplements, but I don't think that's likely. So the girl from Q21, someone from CrossFit Ribeirão, and this girl from CrossFit Paraguay will be getting bans. Yes.
This is like the Tour de France, where like every single person is like popping.
Now the problem in South America is those were the only 4 teams tested.
Now, wow.
CrossFit, and in CrossFit's rule book, it states that if you don't pass your drug test, you cannot advance or collect prize money. Obviously, none of these teams can also collect prize money because they failed a drug test. So they would need, and I think they pay out 5 teams. So I don't know why the 5th place team wasn't tested to begin with, but either way, they would, in theory, need to test teams 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 before paying them.
I don't know. That's open to interpretation the way you worded that a little bit. I can see it both ways.
Okay.
CrossFit. So as of now, we don't know if CrossFit and how. So let me go back a second. Sorry. How are we getting this information if we haven't got it from CrossFit? This is all from personal.
Q21. All 4 of them posted something on Instagram. There's an article on Morning Chalk Up that is in my story this morning on my personal Instagram that has links to all 4 of those announcements from those 4 teams.
Wow. So no teams are going to go from Brazil is what it's looking like.
Can't the women on the team just say that they're in transition and they're men and they get a pass? Oh no, but then they wouldn't have enough women on the team. There's got to be some woke way around.
Find the loophole.
Yeah, I feel like our South American people are being oppressed. So South America may not have a team. You're not going to be surprised if there's no South American team at the CrossFit Games this year.
Well, look, based on what's going on in South America this year, I'm not sure they deserve to have any teams at the games.
It's not CrossFit Toluca's fault or Vitoria. You can't punish them.
No.
Scroll down to 6th place.
It seems to be more of a systematic problem in that part of the world than anywhere else this year. So Toluca and Vitoria, more reps. I don't know. I mean, in theory, I guess they should be hearing from CrossFit. This is where the situation from Africa becomes relevant. Because we know that in Africa, the top place and only qualifying team was tested at the competition, and the 2nd place team and everyone below them was not tested. We know that there was we can talk about it if you want to, but we know that there was a complication with the failed drug test on that team.
Give me 1 second here, Brian. Sorry, because I want to go over there to Africa, but I want to leave this page first. I want to go. I want to go back to
what directly correlated with each
Okay, sorry. Go ahead then. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
So it's like, we have to go there to address this because they didn't test the second place team in Africa at the competition that ended on May 29th. But they did test that team on July 3rd and have since then extended an invite to that team. So there is a precedent that has been set that teams like CrossFit Toluca and Vittoria More reps could be tested now and also extended an invite to the games as Tiger Valley was.
If you're in the comments now, or if you're watching the show now, all 963 of you, I know that you guys all want to get juiced up.
Here's the other thing that's interesting about South America, and I think this is what Tyler Watkins is referring to in the comments. If the top 4 teams have all failed drug tests, usually, like, people have asked us this after Joyelle. Well, what does it do to the leaderboard? Does that mean Vellner actually won? Did Spencer actually still retain the 6th spot? And we ran all the numbers and they did. If you remove the top 4 teams from competition, that could potentially have an impact on who finished 5, 6, 7, 8.
So you're saying, wow
I don't know if that's the case or not, but the case.
So
that
we're not
Vellner
looking at
pointed
real
to,
data, right? Okay.
No, but the case that Vellner alluded to of Ricky in 2017, he said, no, they just crossed his name out. They didn't move us all up and down placements on the leaderboard. But when the top 4 teams or the top 4 contenders in a division all become disqualified, well, that's a dramatic effect on a leaderboard.
Mm-hmm. Brian, are you serious when you say that you don't think that those other teams should get to go? The South American, it really is not their fault. It's like saying it's like letting a Chinese dude into an engineering degree at MIT just because he's Chinese. He's still got to take the fucking test. It's racist what you're saying. Oh man, we can't punish all of them. We can't punish. I want to ask you one more question too before you answer that one. Did any of these teams? I saw one of the teams in South America had a man competing as a woman. Did any of those teams, are they in the top 4?
I don't know anything about that, but
Okay.
but it's not that I've been saying this about Asia too. It's, and I'm hopeful this year that all of their athletes will be able to come to the US and compete. But there was, a lot of years and examples where the qualifiers from Asia just weren't able to make it, the team, the men, the women, whatever. And it's like, why are we reserving spots for parts of the world if they're not going to show up to compete? I just want a full field of athletes at the games that have proven themselves on the competition floor and passed the test that they need to off the floor. And if South America can't produce teams that can do that this consistently, as we're seeing here, it's
Okay. I'm going to put a question mark next to these 4 teams because we don't know what's going on. Why do these teams still suck so bad if they're all juiced up?
Which
Just why does South America suck so bad if everyone's all juiced to the gills? How come they can't even do we know why?
Well, in general,
because everyone else is juiced up. Oh man, I'm like a boy who lost his virginity this week.
You can listen to someone like Austin Spencer who tell you that he's been pursuing this for 10 years. And I don't know how many CrossFit boxes in Brazil have been open for 10 years.
Okay, fair. I like that. That's nice. That keeps my dream alive. Yeah, someone's saying maybe Katrin makes it. Yeah, you never know. And anything's a go.
Shooter McGavin. Great.
I don't get that joke. Who is Shooter McGavin? Is that a guy from Toy Story or something?
Toy Story.
Okay, let's talk about South Africa. So far, just so you guys know, we have Pedro isn't going. We have concerns about Julia Cato and 4 teams from South America. So that's where we're at. And we're hoping Augustine Raquelme is good to go. Okay, let's go into Africa here. Yeah, I want to start with this female. Okay, let's cruise through the teams first, and then we'll save that female for last. CrossFit Comet Okongbango.
What female? The female is Liza Burns. Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah.
She's a team member of CrossFit Commit Okavango.
Oh, even better. Then let's do it. So this, tell me this story again. This story fascinates the shit out of me.
So there are two stories up on the Morning Chalk Up about this one. I've put both links in my story this morning as well if anyone has missed those. The first one is basically an account of what the correspondence was between Liza Burns and her team with CrossFit HQ. And then the second one is a follow-up based on a communication that we had with the competition organizers at Fittest in Cape Town. I'm sure some people also had a chance to listen to Liza's interview with Andrew Hiller on his YouTube station. And that would be, a good place to go to get more details about her side of the story of what happened there. It's a pretty complicated story and situation where, her team are saying some things that are pretty concerning. The competition director is acknowledging some of those things and denying others. And CrossFit has made some comments along the lines of the fact that what happened in South America as far as drug testing is concerned is not normal based on what the procedures are supposed to be at semifinals.
Okay. And I think this is the first time this competition director has run this event in Africa. I think I had just heard that the guy who normally ran the competitions was fired.
I'm not sure about
their country
that.
manager was just fired.
The person who I believe is in charge of running this is the same person that I had contact with in 2019 for the sanctional that was run there, that like Katrin Davidsdottir and Cole Sager and a bunch of other athletes, Sean Sweeney were at. So I think
was it Tion? It's not T. Is it Tion?
Yes.
You think Tion ran this year also?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I know he was the country manager.
He and his group, and there's a group of people that he's with, but yes.
Okay. All right. So I want to go through some of the inconsistencies here. So here, only one team was going, and only one team was tested.
Yeah, and this was, and basically, that seems strange because all of the semifinals that I went to or knew people that were, that I worked closely with that were at, it was briefed at the start of the competition that, two teams beyond the qualifying teams would be tested. So we saw that in Brazil where they tested teams 3 and 4. We've seen that in other places, the MAC, Granite Games, Atlas Games, Lowlands, where they tested down to 7 because they have 5 qualifiers. So it only makes sense that they would test 1, 2, and 3 here. But there was a miscommunication. It sounds like CrossFit, the original directive from CrossFit to Fittest in Cape Town was to only test the top team and to test all 4 athletes on that team, which is also contrary to the way that it was done at other semifinals. And then there was some kind of a secondary or follow-up communication that was saying, no, you need to test the 2nd and 3rd place teams also. But by the time that communication was received, those teams had left the competition floor unsupervised and were missing for an hour, at which point Tian and his team went to track them down and bring them back. And there was a conversation that was had, and they decided against testing them because they'd already been gone unsupervised for so long that it wouldn't be a valid sample anyway.
Okay. And can you tell me exactly what happened to this? Can you click that open? What's her name? Levy?
Liza or Lisa? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Lisa. Can you tell me what happened to Lisa? This is the part that tripped me out.
So Lisa and her 3 other teammates that won the competition were tested that day. My understanding is that 2 of the 4 of them received something called a DCF, which is a document control form that day, a copy of it. And the DCF is basically you signing that this wasn't in fact your drug sample. That basically, yeah. So it's like, yes, I peed in the cup. The sample on the label matches the sample on the form, and I'm acknowledging that sample that matches this number is my sample. That's what's supposed to happen. And then my understanding is that the athlete receives a copy of that.
Right.
From what I can tell, 2 of the 4 of them received copies of that, and 2 of them did not, including her. However, later on, I think so that competition ended on May 29th. I believe it was somewhere around June 18th to 20th that she was contacted by CrossFit saying that she failed the drug test. And one of the things she immediately asked for was for the DCF form. And when she received the DCF form that they provided, she saw that it was labeled as SA Male Athlete 3.
Hey, I wonder how many athletes have ever asked for the DCF form after they test positive.
Well, I think most of them already have it.
Right. Okay.
But again, I'm learning a lot about this as we go, so I'm just kind of telling you what I've know and have learned and have heard, and then I'm assuming.
Okay.
So anyway, the DCF form that she received from them says SA male athlete 3, and she's contesting. I would never have signed a form that listed me as a male athlete.
And as athlete 3, right? Because she was athlete 2.
Well, there are four athletes on their team that were tested. So in theory, they didn't test any other teams. I believe the team competition ended before the individual competition. So those should have been SA female 1, SA female 2, SA male 1, and SA male 2. So there shouldn't have been an SA male 3 in her group.
Wow.
CrossFit has said this was a clerical error. Well, whatever that means. So they're acknowledging that there was an error, but they're still contending that the sample on SA male athlete 3's form is her sample that she signed for, and therefore it's still a relevant failure of a drug test.
But her signature is not on it.
There is a signature on it,
but it's not hers.
Don't know. It
would be great to see if it says someone, like if it says Liza Burns, but it's not her handwriting. That would you have.
And I've seen another signature of hers from an official document.
And do they look like they're the same?
No, but they're not. But it's not convincing necessarily either way. But I'm skeptical.
Skeptical that she's telling the truth, or that it's the same person.
The one on the form only is signed as Burns. I don't know of any women who would take their husband's name and have their signature only be their husband's adopted name, that they wouldn't at least put a first initial or a first name accompanying that, especially if you're on a team with your husband who's also taking a drug test, and especially if they give you a form to sign that says male athlete and you know that your husband's a male athlete that's also on the team.
Damn, you're good, Brian.
So there's a lot of, question marks that are arisen here that do give a lot of validity to her concerns.
Is this drug testing is not done by CrossFit? This is an outside agency.
I believe it's drug-free sport.
Wow, this is so weird. And could we assume that the sample, if it was positive and it wasn't hers, that all that means is that someone else on her team popped?
That's what CrossFit's saying, is that even if it was a mistake in that regard, SA male 3 form would still have been someone from your team. And so it's, that's an...
I don't think you can use that excuse. I don't think you can use that. I think you can say that, but I don't think you can use that to keep them out of the games. Because here's the problem. Who the fuck are you going to give the 4-year ban to? You can't give it to this chick.
Where
did they say this, Brian? Where did they say that last comment you just said? Is that did they?
Which one?
The one you're saying that CrossFit's response is. And sorry, I know I'm putting you in a tough spot to speak for CrossFit, but you're saying that CrossFit said, "Hey, it doesn't matter whose it was, someone on your team still popped."
I'm not sure, but the overarching thing is that CrossFit's standing by the
where are they standing by it? Did they put out a press release?
Because they've invited another team, so they're standing by the fact that team is disqualified from the games by inviting the second place team.
Show me that list again, Mr. Souza. Wow.
And on the flip side, the main contention that Liza and her team has is that the procedures that happened for the drug testing at Fitness in Cape Town were not up to standard, and CrossFit has also acknowledged that.
Yeah, what a mess. I hope CrossFit gets its money back from this drug-free sport. Get a refund on that shit. CrossFit, this is cool. Here's the thing too. This isn't just good to uncover, just to be like, nah, you guys fucked up. We have to uncover this so like this shit doesn't happen again. Like, let's just learn. Like, someone just needs to learn from this.
Mm-hmm.
This is best. I'm gonna ask something just completely ridiculous here. Any possibility, any accusations that any of this was done on purpose or malicious, like that there's like like evil people behind the scenes trying to fuck this team, trying to get Liza? Like, does she have any haters?
Well, I mean, this is
I didn't watch the Hiller interview. I guess I could watch
it. But in general, I think there are a lot of things that happen in CrossFit, like any other industry, that are political. And one of the things that's noteworthy about the semifinals is that, we'll just take a country like Asia, where I don't really know a lot of the politics, but if South Korea gets to host that competition, then probably the event organizers and therefore the programmers and also the judges are mostly from South Korea. And there's probably 12 to 20 different countries that are represented there. And so there's a huge, there's a potential for things to be skewed in the favor of the South Koreans. And you could apply that to many different.
Okay. A little home cooking, whether it's intentional or not, there could be a little home cooking.
Sure. And I don't know what the solution to that is on all fronts, but one solution to it is to have standardized programming that's done by someone who's, not affiliated with any country in it, just CrossFit.
Man, this is great. Okay. Oh, that's nice. Someone just sent me a mock-up of the new NWPO shirts.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, that is really nice. Can you pull that up and show that? Let's go with that. I'd like one of those. I don't think Fraser's free. I want to say something else real quick. Sorry, this is totally off subject. Yesterday, there was a post on Morning Chalk Up about some article that Matt Fraser was in for the USA Today. And I guess he said something along the lines of he chooses his athletes with discretion. Then someone made a picture of me and wrote, I choose my podcast guest with discretion. And I posted it. And some of you thought that I was making fun of Matt. Not in the fucking least. I was making fun of the people who were making fun of Matt. Just to be clear, I mean, if Matt wants to be made fun of too, I'll make something for him. But how the fuck wouldn't Matt Fraser use his utmost discretion? And anyone should be fucking honored to fucking work with him. He won the fucking games 5 times. He's not going to pick some schmoes. And I say to with all love and kindness to people like Sammy and O'Keefe and the gayest weightlifter, you guys don't have to ever defend Matt. The vast majority of people out there know he's fucking the man. He can pick whoever he wants. If he wants to go over to the Mayhem Empire and put an HWPO shirt on Rich Froning himself, he can. He won the fucking games 5 times. Let him pick whoever he wants. Those of you who are judging him for it, fuck off. I'd pick Mal and Jason Hopper too. That being said, I'll have anyone on my podcast. I'm a world-class podcasting slut. Okay. Brian, so we did South America and we did Africa and we did some of North America. Is there anything else going on in North America besides Phil Toon and Joyal? And I want to honor Nick Matthews and Austin Spencer.
That post that Proven put up that you showed, like, Proven, I don't think that they would put a post up that says it's official unless they knew it was official. So, we got to maybe try to find out more, but it's possible that maybe Nick has heard something at this point. Don't you think that just seems like something they would want to do?
Yeah, they absolutely. Yeah, they absolutely. And you have to assume that people like Tia, who are so valuable to the sport, that they know that she has someone who she can call there. You know what I mean? I have to assume that in her phone, she has Curtis Bowler's phone number, Adrian's phone number, anyone over there's phone number, James Hobart's number, even though he's nobody. She can call whoever she wants. I mean, shit, she could probably
Isn't he coming on tonight?
She can probably call the CEO.
No more.
Yeah. That's the highest ranked person we can get at CrossFit these days, James Hobart. We're fucked.
Hey, I'll take Hobart any day. He helped me a lot last year.
What is that? What's my count? What's Ligma? I popped for Ligma. What's Ligma? Ligma. Someone looked that up. Okay. Anyone else in North America?
I don't think so, but like I said, the Granite Games and the Atlas Games, which happened the last 2 weeks, I'm still not convinced that we haven't heard the last from those.
Who are some of these other guys that pop? We had a Jalen pop. We had a Toby Maguire, Toby Watkins,
Johnson, Jalen Franklin. Mm-hmm.
Jalen, Toby, and there was another guy that
Wallace, Hunter Williams.
Wow.
Mike Catras. All on teams.
I'm not hearing any girls. Just juiced up dudes. Has any don't fall for Linga is made up of disease and internet hoax claims to have killed. No, fine, fuck this. I don't want to know that kind of vernacular. Anyone else come like, yeah, I did it? Like besides Joyal, has anyone just been like, yeah, I'll fucking take this?
I don't think necessarily to that degree. You know, most of them are acknowledging ownership, but not in the same way that he did.
Jalen eventually came around, right? Or was it Toby? One of them eventually came around, right? After a couple denials.
If I'm being honest, like once they're officially removed from the season, I kind of stopped paying attention.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I've always done that. Like as soon as in the past when regionals would happen, before I was, doing this in such a grand scale, I would pretty much unfollow everyone that wasn't the 80 athletes that made the games.
Anything going on in Europe? Do we have anything substantial? Can we look at the European leaders? I just want to pull it up and go through them with Brian.
There's been only the one team out of Strength in Depth, which was in the last week, and that came out, earlier than the stuff from Granite Games with Phil too, and earlier than the stuff in Asia with Nasser. But that's what I'm saying is like
which team here popped
down Aylesbury in 5th.
Wow, the 5th place team. So does that mean that the 6th place team, will you scroll down a little bit, Souza? Does that mean the 6th place team will be going a little more, all the way to 6? Well, CrossFit Nordic.
The 6th place team is CrossFit Nordic Original, which is somewhat comical considering everything that happened with him this year, that they'd get the backfill like this. As far as I know, and this is another thing that's kind of strange.
That's the team that we had on where they had
yeah.
So they're not juiced, but they had a dude who was living more than 100 miles or didn't train at the affiliate enough or something.
Didn't train at the affiliate enough days. So as far as I know, they have not been contacted by CrossFit. And again, this is weird because Catris came out, last week. Nasser came out today. And before Nasser even came out, Arthur had gotten an invite. This is now 5 to 7 days later from when Mike made his announcement, and Nordic has heard nothing. So there's not a lot of consistency in terms of the process, at least from what we're able to see on the outside.
Once again, what we see from the outside is only what athletes have decided to leak for us.
Correct.
And words like departed, like that thing of the departed, that's trippy on the South American site. So I guess that is something from CrossFit, right? We can't go to their game site, and we saw in parentheses departed.
Yeah, but what does that really mean?
We don't know. That's the thing. I was thinking we need a legend down at the bottom telling us what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't know.
I mean, speculating, wouldn't it be that they're departed? They're no longer part of CrossFit, and then therefore no longer eligible.
When were the announcements made last year officially from CrossFit? By the way, how close to the games? And did they backfill like this last year? Or do we see any consistency between last year and this year?
I'm not sure on the announcements with the date and the timeline. And as far as the backfills, I think there was an addition to the semifinals to test teams outside of the top 5 this year at semis because of something that happened last year. Not 100% sure, but I believe that there were teams that were invited via the backfill process last year that were not tested at semifinals, and then they were tested upon arrival at the games to make sure that they were still tested within the competition season. And again, so that would leave another out for CrossFit in the terms of South America. So they could do what they did in Africa, which is just test them now, and then they'll have that sample back at some point. Or they could test them if they accept their invitation and show up in Madison. And then obviously they would just have to wait for the sample before potentially paying out any prize money.
Last year at the CrossFit Games, were there any places that were not backfilled? Like when the show started, were we 40 and 40?
No, but the two.
Am I right on those numbers? It should be 40 and 40,
should
right?
Be 40 and 40. But
okay.
In the case of the women, Larissa Cunha received a notification that she failed a drug test a day or two before the games. So it was probably too late to backfill. And in the case of the men, Roman was unable to show up. And despite the fact that the next person in the last chance qualifier, which would have been Tyler Christoffel, was on site and had trained and was prepared to do the games, and it reached out to CrossFit telling them as much, they did not give him that opportunity because they were holding the spot just in case Roman showed up.
And this lady who you said tested a positive a couple days before the games, was her test given to her a couple days before the games, or that's how when the results were released?
that's when she was notified. I'm not 100% sure of when the test took place. She was the one that ended up going on to prove supplement contamination and has since gotten her sentence reduced from 4 to 2 years.
And which semifinal did she come from?
South America.
Fascinating. Okay. Well, so it does seem like things are moving faster this year. How many days away are we from the games? When are they?
August 3rd, I think, is the first day.
So that's 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22 days away? Is that right? August 3rd is 22 days?
Yeah, 22 days.
Okay. Do we have a full men's field and full women's field at this point, Brian?
Assuming that they continue backfilling, yes.
But and the people that they have backfilled, the people we know. So we know that Arthur's been backfilled. We know Austin Spencer's been backfilled.
It appears that Proven believes Nick Matthew has been backfilled, and then we're waiting on the South America. So far I haven't heard anything from Raquelme that he's received an invitation.
I wonder if we could get Nick Matthews on right now.
That would be cool. He's similar to Austin Spencer in a lot of ways in terms of the time that he's invested, how close he's been in the past, and then obviously making it in this same style.
Oh, I follow him already. Nick Matthew. Oh, it's Nick Matthew or Nick Matthews? I want to make sure it's the right dude.
Matthew.
Nick Matthew. Oh, have you ever called someone on Instagram?
Yeah, we did. Remember? It was actually the three of us.
I can just push this video button right here.
Yeah. Does he? Yep. Yeah. I don't know if it'll work.
Okay. It says I'm calling him.
As if he'll answer it. Remember I think we called like.
Oh, this is a nice sound. Oh, no answer. Should I report a problem? I love it. Every time I get a post pulled down, it says, "Do you want to report? Do you want to protest this?" And I can never protest it. There's nowhere to protest it. But when Nick Matthew doesn't answer, I can
you can report the problem.
Brian, is there anything else? Is there anything else we'd like to cover in regards to PED use? Any stones we haven't turned?
No, just I don't think that it's quite over yet. I think there's probably a couple more still to come.
Why do you say that? Do you have insight into some stuff?
Maybe.
Okay.
And then I'm hopeful that, but I am hopeful that
anything good. Like you think Adrian Bosman's gonna pop? Like he's gonna pop? Like the head judge, he'll pop for Adderall. He was taking Adderall while he was doing the programming.
Well, you need to be very detail oriented to do that job. So
any big names gonna pop, Brian? Any big names? Any top 10 guys?
Any shockers?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But it's one of those situations where if you're in the last 2 weeks, I would be kind of nervous still because things are still coming out. But I'm hopeful that this will end soon, and CrossFit will have a statement and release a list of all of the things fairly soon as well, and then we can hopefully move on and focus on the athletes that did make it through both the qualifying process and the drug testing, because I still think this is going to be a great year at the games.
Brian, should they have an all-inclusive division, juiced athletes? Signed Javi's the DEI guy for all of Saudi Arabia. Javi. I want to get your opinion on this. Just your yeah, we have 1 minute left. I want to get your opinion on this. 90 seconds. If you're an athlete and you test positive and you did it, what do you think the best? What do you think? What do you think the best way to handle that is?
I mean, you've already screwed up at many points to get to that stage, and so I'm always a fan of eventually doing the next right thing. That was what I would say. So probably, even though it's not commendable the path to get there, what Joel did is probably the best thing to do.
Just come out.
Just say,
Just
yeah,
be
man, I
honest.
was feeling the pressure. I made bad choices. I competed with guilt, whatever it is. Like that's the thing that's really hard for me, is to imagine. Look, it's totally possible that some of these athletes are taking things and not aware of it. That's their fault still. But if you know you're taking it and you're showing up and competing and staring down these men and women on either side of you, like, yeah, I'm like that. I don't know if I can do that. But yeah, after the fact, I think that everyone will appreciate the person just says, yeah, man, I screwed up. I feel bad about it. I'll own the consequences, because, all the other stuff is kind of getting sick and tired of hearing it.
And you get to set yourself free. It's not a law you have to protect or anything you have to justify for the rest of your life. I'm just thinking if there's, and I can't think of any like financial reasons why you wouldn't just come clean too. I'm guessing at the end of the day that it works out for you to benefit you in every single way.
Probably.
All right. Thank you very much. Great show. I'm glad we were able to keep it only to 30 minutes so that I could do the rest of my live call-in show today. That was cool. Brian Friend, Matt Souza, Austin Spencer, thanks for coming on the show. We will see you guys tonight. Tonight we will have James Hobart on, and we will be discussing my second favorite subject after PEDs, masters athletes.